2, 1. Welcome back to the Ultra Crude Podcast, a Murder Mile media production. I'm your host, John Cox. With me, as always, is Becca Jones, BMFJ, Mayor of the Murder Mile, the sacred midwife of ultra running.
Hi. Wow, that's quite the introduction.
Yeah, well, we're back for another episode. Woo!
Yay!
We're obviously race directors, we're ultra runners, and we are betrothed to one another, which brings us to our listener question of the week. We had a couple responses. We had actually quite a few questions. We're just going to jump into it. We're going to jump into questions, and then we're going to recap, and then we're going to go on.
Okay.
Or do you want to recap questions, go on?
No, that's great.
So Aaron Dana asked the question this week of when you're going to get married.
Oh, wow. We get that question a lot, don't we?
Every time we see somebody is when we get that question. Okay. Yeah. So we've barely been engaged for several years.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is that there's nothing that Becca Jones won't do to avoid marrying me. There's no project too big other than planning a wedding. So right now we're planning to build a large pavilion instead of planning a wedding.
Yeah, we've got a lot of other things in the mix, but we're not going anywhere.
I hope not.
We're in it for the long haul, baby. It's an ultra marathon together in life and marriage with one another. Yeah.
That was a gentle touch.
I'm a gentle, gentle soul.
Yeah. What I think is funny is that the topic came up. This is probably what, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
You told me after the fact that, well, I was going to go look at a wedding venue today, but it snowed. Yeah. So I knew they weren't going to let me.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get out there.
And that was, you've never thought about going back.
It's not that I haven't thought about it. It's just not, I mean, it's not happening tomorrow, so it's not top priority number one.
Fair. Yeah, that's short. The short answer is we're going to get married in the spring.
Yeah, that's what we keep telling people.
We just don't know which one.
The spring.
The spring. Pick a spring. Probably not this spring.
No, definitely not this spring.
Definitely not this spring. Next spring?
We'll see.
We'll see. Stay tuned for that, Aaron Dana. Stay tuned. We have another question. One with a little more substance. I'm gonna pull it up because I don't want to misquote it. So just bear with me. As the production work all falls on me. Mighty is the head that wears the crown.
No, it does not.
No, that's a saying.
Yeah, but all the production work does not fall on me.
Oh no, none of it. Yeah, none of it.
Yeah,
I don't know who would ever believe that.
Stop looking at me and start getting in those messages so you can figure that out.
You're pretty, and I like looking at you. All right, this is from Melbro42. What do you recommend for nutrition on training running days, pre and post runs? What do you recommend for nutrition on training running days, pre and post runs? Hit it.
Well, post run, always some protein and carbs. I'd say you should aim to get that in. I mean, within that hour after your run is really what you want to have happen. I mean,
zesty fresca is all you really need.
And a lot of runners go, if you run in a group or whatever, a lot of people go like grab food and do stuff like that afterwards. But you should still always have something that's a pretty immediate snack afterwards. I would look for at least 30 grams of protein and probably. It really depends on how long you ran, too.
Yeah, it does. I think it depends a lot on what the workout is, for sure. And then, so what would you recommend standard training, nutrition-wise, during a training run? Should the training run be long enough to take it in?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 200 to 300 calories an hour. That kind of breaks down to, are you male, female? I mean, weight, like it's, what's your resting metabolic rate? Like how many calories do you typically burn anyways? That's where I tell people to start to figure out what you need. Men typically need more, and especially if you're a much taller man.
Taller men need more calories. We've discovered that.
I mean, typically it's a lot more of you to move down. Like you have a higher metabolic rate. You require more calories. That's to function and move. I mean, that's just how that works.
No arguments from me.
I highly recommend getting on the internet and putting in your age, height. There's lots of calculators for it. Find your resting metabolic rate. That way and you break it down over an entire day, 24 hours, and figure out how many calories you need per hour to exist. Like, you might burn, let's say, 70 calories an hour just sitting here breathing and eating.
I'm a machine. I go through them.
So that needs to factor in. So if 200 to 300 is the base, well, let's just say 300 is the base. You need to be taking in 370 calories because you need to make up that deficit, especially on the longer runs. I will say, like during the race or during something like that. People go, oh, well, 300 calories an hour. Okay, well, almost 100 of that is just dedicated to you existing. So now you're only taking in 200 to like actually fuel your run in your body, and you're burning through more. So trying to avoid that deficit.
Yeah, 100%. And also, when you calculate how many calories per hour during a long training run or during a race, your heart rate, depending on what your heart rate is going to change a lot too. If you're blasting through a trail half or a trail marathon where you're 150, 160 the whole time, you're going to burn a lot more calories as opposed to a longer race where you're probably closer to 130, 140. This is what we see at mid-state. Guys that train and run hard come out, they run slow for a longer period of time, they take in too many calories, and they get tummy troubles.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of tummy troubles. And you're also coming back every mile. So you are used to, I'm here, I've got to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you don't need to eat 300 calories every time you come in, or 200 calories.
Yeah, and so we've seen that. For me, is I typically run either before breakfast. So when I come back, I eat breakfast, and then or I run before dinner. So that's how I'm getting my post workout calories in. And then before I run, I almost always have coffee before I run. It's my pre-workout is what coffee is. So
I'm not a big fan of pre-workout, nor do I recommend it.
Yeah, well,
nor do I recommend coffee before long runs. But we are very
that's
different.
Fine. I drink coffee every day, and I'm going to drink coffee before I run.
I know.
I like a little zip. But I don't typically run on an empty stomach. Even when I run in the morning before breakfast, I do a couple hundred calories, so it's not empty. And I'll do that in the afternoon too. If I go to run, I'll make sure that I'm not running on an empty stomach. If it's later post lunch, 4 or 5 o'clock, it's been half a day since I've eaten, I'll put a couple hundred calories on my stomach, so I'm not running empty. And then for me, I like to scale back my nutrition on training runs. If my goal for the race is 300 calories an hour, and I'm on a training run, even a long run, and this is just me, this is just what I do, I'm closer to 150 or 200 for that long run. And I think it's a great time to experiment with all sorts of nutrition, figure out what you can eat, what you can't eat. I know when it comes to race day, I'm going to eat Arby's roast beef sandwiches and Edmonds pound cakes. But I'll eat a variety of stuff on a long run just to see how my body reacts to it, see if I can stomach that or not, or find something new. The race last weekend, I ran on hemogels, and it was okay. I don't know that I go and would want to do that again, but if I need, human to race, I know it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And then I make sure to stay on my salt, because regardless of calories on a long run, I want to hit my electrolytes.
Yeah, keeping electrolytes on track is top.
So if I'm going to run for 2 hours or more, I'm gonna be doing my electrolytes.
Yeah,
100%.
And I do think fasted runs have their place.
They do,
and that's 100%. There's not really a hard. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
That there's some good guidelines, and I do like fasted runs, especially when we're doing low heart rate. I like to eat very minimal before, and
yeah, and I think they work better for you. The past few that we did Tuesday mornings, I had tum troubles.
Yeah.
On fasted runs, and I was like, well, I mean, I had coffee. I gotta put something in there for the coffee to absorb.
Well, coffee does.
Or maybe drink less coffee in the morning. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a reasonable option.
Well, coffee is acidic.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Spots your blood sugar. So.
Yeah.
And for me, before a race, I will drink just enough coffee so that I don't get like a caffeine headache or anything. Just enough to kind of make me feel good, and then that's maybe half a cup, just enough to get my brain and a little bit of caffeine going.
I'm going to drink as much coffee as I can.
He can't. He could drink caffeine and coffee at 8 o'clock at night and just go to sleep at 9.
I go sleep now. I'll tell you what, and this
makes him very punchable.
Yeah,
his face hole.
It's fair. It's fair. I'm really good at sleeping. I've been doing it most of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm going to do it later. But what I think too is the reason to experiment and figure it out. Do you need to run fasted? What can you eat? What can't you eat? Is because when you eat potatoes in the morning, like we eat hash browns or something, it is not good for
Yeah.
you, especially to run.
No, I get super sick.
Yeah.
Just it and like, but I'm hypoglycemic,
Yeah, but
and
you can eat them at lunch or for dinner.
I can't eat a
It's
whole
not crazy.
bunch. But yeah, I can eat a little bit more. I have leeway, but in the morning, it
No,
will
it's a
mess with my
non-starter.
blood sugar so
Yeah.
bad. I will get
Yeah, it's not good. So I think that's the real answer is to experiment with different things and figure out what works well for your body and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I'll try another. There's some base rules, but it's an individual thing.
It really is.
So yeah.
Is that all the questions we
That's the
got?
questions. We got a lot of questions. We're gonna save a couple for next week. We
Okay.
got some good stuff. We don't want to just give it all to them straight away,
Okay.
do we? All right, we'll do one more. You ready for one more?
Yeah, I'm ready. Sorry, my nose is itchy after being out there doing hill repeats. I think I sucked in a lot of pollen.
Eric Kinley asks when we're going to interview Greg Armstrong.
I don't know. I haven't talked to Greg.
I haven't talked to Greg either. And I don't know. Listen, there's a lot of podcasts out there that do interviews about ultra running and bring people in. And I don't know. Are you tired of just listening to us talk at one another already? Is this what it is?
We will eventually do some other interviews.
To quote Jerry Seinfeld, why would I wait for somebody else to talk? It's a Jerry Seinfeld quote from Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. It's not me. I'm not being vain. I just don't know. It's a logistical issue at this point with our production. We haven't quite figured out.
We're still learning.
Calls and so just give us time. It'll probably be a little while for it. But let's figure out how to do this before we open it up to other people.
Yeah. I'm all right with that.
Just stay with us. Okay?
Hang tight.
Don't get bored of us yet. There's more to come. This is a building show.
Yeah.
We appreciate you following along, though.
We absolutely do. Thank you.
Crazy. Thanks for following the Ultra Crude podcast. If you like it so far, rate us and review. Or not. It's fine. Share the show. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, certainly. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been an all right week. Good training. I need to talk about something.
Okay.
I went downtown Nashville on Friday afternoon. And
He went daytime honky tonkin'.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, so I found myself downtown Nashville, Lower Broadway, the Nashville that people know in the world, the Nashville that we never see. The only time we go downtown is when we run there, which is weird to then drive downtown. I was like, oh, I could just be running right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But I've noticed this, and I think this is really what sets Nashville apart. When you visit other cities, like you go to Chicago or New York, Miami, LA, San Diego, Oklahoma, I don't know. There's a city in Oklahoma, Dallas, Texas. You just kind of go there, right? You just go to visit. Whatever clothes you have, whatever personality you've cultivated over the years, you're just yourself. But when you come to Nashville, when people visit Nashville, they come in costume.
Oh, they do. They used to not. It used to not be that way.
You drive downtown, and there's not a single person on Broadway that isn't like legitimately in a costume. This is not what you wore to work last Tuesday. This is not who you are picking up your kids from soccer practice.
No. It's the woo girl, bro.
It's everybody. Everybody's
giddy up cowboy.
I mean, everybody's got on boots, and I don't know where they got the boots. You know they didn't. You know
they bought them downtown.
Yeah, probably bought them downtown.
There's lots of places that have specials on boots.
Or they Amazoned them so they could wear them off the plane.
Yeah.
A lot of them are white cowboy boots are real popular on Lower Broadway.
Yeah.
The dudes have figured out how to starch their pants. There's cowboy hats. There's not a rodeo going on. There's zero cowboying is happening in Nashville. There's no cowboys. No. Nobody's herding cattle.
Not downtown.
Not downtown.
And what's funny is you go, 300 yards, then you're in East Nashville.
Yeah,
go across the river and it's a different world. Yeah, it's skinny jeans and everything else.
Beanies in July and man buns. It's a whole thing. Yeah. But that little 3-4 block radius, People are in costume, and it is wildly entertaining.
Oh, it's primo people watching.
Yeah.
And it truly, it did not used to be that way. I'm born and raised, I'm a Nashville unicorn. I mean, you can't find us. Everyone is moved here from somewhere else.
True story.
And to watch how this city has changed and grown and evolved, and yet the costumes. I
It's
actually used to work
like,
downtown when I
yeah.
was younger, like early Becca Jones, 18 to early 20s. I bartended downtown Broadway, Second Avenue. Second Avenue used to be a thing.
Was it
Like,
just people showing up, or did the costumes? Did you see
no,
like somebody in costume?
no, it
It
was
wasn't a thing yet.
no, it was people who like country music and like honky tonkin'.
Hey, you know I love country music.
Yeah, but you're not a honky tonker.
I'm probably not going to honky or tonk.
But
I've been called a honky.
Second Avenue was full of that was like where the clubs were, and it was rap music. And then you turn the corner and it's fiddles.
That's funny.
It was very
It's
divided.
eclectic. That's a major metro center.
Yeah.
Well, probably not all major metro centers have clubs and country bars.
But the whole strip, and if you went down to Bar Nashville, it had both. It was just different. It was a good time though.
That's a dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was tickled by the realization that people come to Nashville in costume. Like they put on a persona. And it's wild. It's just it tickles me.
It's drunk. That's the persona.
Well, it's
drunk.
that. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of that going on. But it's not Halloween. You don't have to dress up to get drunk.
They have made a competition out of it.
Is this what Zach Bryan's saying about when he says "Come as you are"?
I don't know. I don't know that I've necessarily looked in the meaning of that song.
I haven't either. It just popped in my head. Like, come to Nashville as you are. It'll be okay. You'll get into Tootsie's and Kid Rock's Bar and Grill and Old Red.
Well, I'm gonna say when
it.
we're down there running, it's super fun, and the air conditioning coming out of the bars is so great because I always pick the worst times for us to do like
It's
that.
usually the hottest. The bouncer at Tootsie's was not amused by me standing in the doorway last time.
No, he was not. A couple times decided to run my age for my birthday, and we'll run basically over to East Nashville and back. And my birthday's the middle of July.
Yeah, it's warm.
And twice, I think, it's fallen on the hottest day of the year so far. And all of that concrete just radiates everything. But hitting Lower Broad, there's so much air conditioning coming out of there. It's just so great. It's like, let's just walk through here. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, dodge the cowboy boots and the hats and the woo girls, though. So be prepared.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
It's a jungle.
I don't know about jungle. It's touch and go. All right. That's the week. You got anything else from the week?
No. Last week was pretty rough for me. I was pretty tired.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, you're a complete liability to the team.
Yeah. So, feel a little better this week.
You got a little more pep in your step today. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
What about you?
It's just normal stuff for me. That was the highlight.
Okay, so are we going to wrap this up, or we're going to talk about the topics that you want to talk about?
What is this? Why are you? Yeah, well, hey, fine, talking about that. Good gracious. Let me ask you this, Jones. Is there anything better than a good DNF?
Oh, very few things are better than a good DNF when it's warranted.
It's
a good time.
Like just one of those, I'm done with this. Hack it on up. There is no amount of Fireball or oatmeal cream pies or quesadillas that is going to get me to move on another step. Is there anything better?
No.
Do you have any of those?
Oh, yeah.
What's the best DNF?
Bigfoot was a good one.
Bigfoot was one, but you were broken. I'm not talking like broken.
Here's why it was a good one. No, I will put my hands up. It was so great because when I finally got done, like there had been a fire ban, but this aid station had a fire, which meant it was warm, and I had been cold for a very, very long time, and it had been dark. So the sun was getting ready to come up. They have a fire, and they have beer and tequila.
Well,
It
that's all you need for a good time.
They fed me.
If somebody's playing sad country songs from like a Bluetooth speaker, that is you in heaven.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so great. We did shots, we drank beer, and then I went to sleep on a cot next to a fire after I ate and woke up to breakfast. It was a great DNF. It was perfect.
That sounds like a good time. How long did you have to wait after you woke up to get a ride out?
I think it was Kyle Curtin who was actually there that ended up giving me a ride.
Thanks,
I'm
Kyle.
pretty sure. I didn't have to wait long because I was so close to cutoffs that everything was wrapping up.
They were wrapping up.
I didn't have to wait a whole day or
They
bunch
broke
of
everything
hours.
down around the cot that you were sleeping on.
Like he had to pick up the pacers, or not the pacers, the sweepers. Yeah. So I mean, again, great, perfection.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've had a couple more that were really good. I did not regret at all. What about you?
I don't know. I don't think I've had. Listen, I've had some DNFs. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know that I've really just chucked it in the middle of a run or the middle of a race. Like, not doing this. I've wanted to, for sure. That
I don't know. Potawatomi was pretty good.
Oh, Potawatomi. That's probably.
That was good. That was a good one. I was all right with that one.
That was a good DNF. That was a good DNF. I had done. It's a 10-mile loop, and I wanted you to do the first loop with me, and you did not want to do that. I think so. We separated. You got in for the second loop ahead of me, and then I think I just went immediately no, and got in the car and was chilling. And then it's like, no, I can't do this. And I did another loop, so we would miss each other. And then after the second loop, I was like, nope, I'm done. I had changed, cleaned up. I was watching a movie in the in the backseat of the car when you came through again at the end of loop 3.
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic.
I do think we did that first loop together because you didn't want to cross the river.
Did we do the whole first loop together?
Yeah. And then we split.
Yeah, maybe it was the second.
Because I think you did a 50K. I did about 20 more miles because I hit 50.
Okay.
And it was freezing cold. It was
awful.
Muddy, rainy. It was really crappy. And neither of us were feeling it. You had forgotten running shorts. We had to stop
I did
at
forget
Kohl's
running
and
shorts.
find shorts.
We had a horrible meal the night before at a weird steak and shake.
That was your fault.
That was my fault.
That was completely your fault.
Yeah, that was me. That was on me.
Yeah.
My bad.
The whole trip was just kind of botched from Jump Street.
Yeah.
But
not fantastic.
No.
It felt good to leave, though. Leaving felt better than running.
But we were both on that same page of neither of us felt like dealing with it at all.
I think we had convinced each other that this was a good idea, and we were in for doing it together.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be awesome. But neither one of us, I think, actually wanted to go and do it.
It took us longer to drive up there than we ran.
It probably took me a long time to do that 50K.
No, literally. I don't know.
It's like an 8-9-hour drive. Yeah, probably did.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So that was a good one. Yeah, I mean, I just think there's just a time and a place where nothing is better than DNFing.
Oh, I agree.
And that's okay. I don't know how much pardon me, buy into the whole death before DNF crowd.
I don't think that it is a healthy mindset. I understand the thinking behind it and the dedication, and you should be dedicated. I know we'll get more into all of that, but it's just you can really do a lot of damage to your body. A lot of things can happen, and if you adopt that mindset and reiterate that, one can get you in some bad situations too. When it finally does happen, and if you do this sport long enough and you do stuff that challenges you, is a proper challenge and pushes you outside of your comfort zone, it's gonna happen.
Well, not only that, is I think it should. Like, if you haven't DNF, you've not pushed hard enough.
Yep.
You've not found your limit. And there's a lot of reasons to get in the sport, but I think a popular one is to push yourself, to find what you're capable of, and not finishing something is a great indicator of going, oh yeah, I'm not capable of doing that yet.
Yeah.
Like, not for nothing. It's okay. You've met your limit. Get better. And this brings us to what I think is the big F word.
Failure.
Oh my gosh, I really thought you were going to say the other one. But the word is, say it with me.
Failure.
failure it's just been so stigmatized to talk about. Like, it is not acceptable to use the word failure in ultra running. Like, you can't say you failed. You can't say someone else failed. You certainly cannot say someone else failed.
Oh, God.
At all.
Yeah, they'll
Like,
attack you.
Oh, yeah, you'll be vilified for going, oh, yeah, you failed. Like, not for nothing. You set out to run 50 miles, ran 22. You failed to run 50 miles. Like, that's just what it is. And we're so averse to, I think, mostly accepting our own failure that we fail. We fail. That we refuse to say that we did. And there's a lot of talk around these moral victories in it. And listen, I've had them. I've felt flat on my face and kind of relished or was comforted at least by the moral victory in it. And that's nice. And we want to wrap people up in, hey, you did more than 99% of the people.
Oh, God. I fucking
That
hate this conversation's going to get me riled up.
Podcast. That's the real F word.
Fucking hate when people say that. Of course I did. Of course. Because we're doing something that 99% of people don't do. People don't do this sport. Like, shut the fuck up with that ridiculousness. I'm sorry. That just irks me.
Well, you beat everybody sitting on the couch.
Oh, clap. They're not doing it. I just, fuck those people. I don't care. That's good for them. Let them live their lives. We're out here doing stuff. Like, I can't. I'm going to let you. I need to.
No, this is fantastic. This is what the people want. No, and here's the thing, is I think a lot of people that don't understand it, aren't in it, see it as doing something great. And it is incredible. Like, if you ran 5 miles, that's an incredible thing to do. A mile's a really long way to run.
It really is.
Like, it's nonsense that how casually we talk about mileage in the sport of ultra running, because it's a long freaking way.
It is.
But when you have high expectations, like, you should keep them there. And I know that if you were to, and as a result of, like, because I've done it, resting in the moral victory and not accepting failure and defeat sets you back long term.
Absolutely.
Like, how can you possibly reassess and get better if you don't accept and recognize what you did wrong?
Oh, yeah. If you're constantly on par, like, I'm on par, I'm good, I'm still getting it, I'm still winning. No, you're not. You're coming up short. You're being unrealistic about who you are, where you are, what you're capable of, and actually how that played out. And if you're so fragile and frail that you can't have a real conversation with someone or yourself and say, oh no, I did fuck that up. Oh man, I could do better. You are constantly going to be held back.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to, and it's hard to do. Listen, because a lot of emotion gets wrapped up into one pursuing a goal for a long time. Mm-hmm. Running is exhausting.
Yes.
And it brings you to that point. So if it brings you to the point where you can't go on anymore, that's a heavy thing to carry around. But not carrying around the truth with it is going to make that joker a lot heavier.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to be honest with everybody. Like, if you needed to look good on social media, like, that's cool, do your thing. But you got to be real honest with yourself. And then you got to be real honest with somebody that's going to keep you accountable.
Absolutely.
Like, when we ran up and I did the Hennepin the first time 5 years ago, and we went up and it was just me. And I failed because I wanted to run 100 miles that day, and I did not. And it was, let me finish, a huge failure at running 100 miles. Now, I know why I failed. I know that the complete lack of anyone.
Because it was during COVID, everything had been canceled. Yeah. You went up there to run 100 miles, and you ran by yourself aside from the 4 or 5 miles I ran with you.
Yeah.
But there was no one else out there. It was snowing in the beginning of the day. I think you only saw one other person.
I saw a dude on a bike at 3 miles in.
You basically ran 40-something miles by yourself. That is in itself hard. There's a lot that can be taken from that, and it's great. But you still failed.
Yeah. And this is the point, is that I did something that was incredibly challenging, I think, for most people. I think even if you're running 50s, if you go out there and run 50 miles by yourself, like self-supported, that's a different level.
Yeah.
That's another thing than going to a 50-mile race.
Mhm.
And so I'm able to recognize what an accomplishment that in itself was, but then realize that, dude, you failed. And here are some reasons why you failed. And unpack that. And I think, there's a post years ago from that, and recognizing how and when that race went south. And it was minutes. It was minutes of that race that really led to the ultimate failure. Because I had been alone forever.
Mhm.
And then I let myself get in my own head. And that was kind of it.
Yep.
Down goes Frazier.
Folded like a lawn chair.
Like a lawn chair, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute it was good, and then the next minute, wheels came straight off the bus.
Oh no, it was over. They didn't even come off the bus.
Yeah.
You were in the car.
Yeah,
there was no talking out of it.
And you go back and what would the merit of finishing that be, and had to go over what I finished or not finished. If I could do it again, I would fix that few minutes. Right? I wouldn't change anything else because I don't know what else would have happened. But I would have changed that few minutes. But you can only get there if you recognize that you failed.
Yeah.
If I'd have got done, like, man, that was awesome. Man, I killed it. Yeah, I did run 50 miles by myself. This is awesome. I'm a G.
It's delusional.
It can be.
And I don't mean that like in a negative way, but like, you're not seeing the reality of the situation. Still, what you did is amazing. And I think
it was more than sitting on the couch.
Cannot. Please
and
not.
And it was, but it wasn't the goal.
Exactly. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to have success. I think it is really important to be honest and intentional. And I think you see this a lot more with people who didn't do team sports a lot, where they got into running or ultras later in life. They were in clubs or whatever they did in high school, and they didn't have to be part of a team where you screwed stuff up, where you were accountable, where you did fail. Like, you failed to run this right. You guys failed to win. You failed to execute. And I think when you've had that structure, and maybe it is through other things, but my experience is through sports, where you had a coach that would tell you, you're fucking this up. This is how you need to do it. Do you want to win? Do you want to be better? Sorry, I'm on like that.
That's the F word. This is the Ultra Group podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
But people who gave you honest feedback, kept you accountable. We lost because you didn't cover your position. They scored because they didn't cover. Like that instant where you are going to make mistakes. You are going to fail. You are not going to be perfect. You are not always going to have success. But you have to be able to analyze it, break it down, and also take that feedback.
Yeah, and I think you see this, in any hot race, you're going to see people DNF or quit or whatever. Like, I was like, oh, it's just so hot, I'm cramping up, I can't go on. Well, you're blaming the weather now. Why are you blaming the weather for being the weather?
The weather's going to weather.
Weather's going to weather. You can't change what you can do is change your hydration. You can change how much salt you took in. You could probably change how much you trained the past month.
Yeah, and your cooling strategy. I mean, there's so many other things that you can take into account and that you can control.
Yeah.
But you're blaming the thing that you can't control. That's also like on your phone that gives you all the information you
Becca
need before.
Jones. Yeah. And I think this is so ridiculous.
Like, it's still your fault.
It is so innate. It's, oh my gosh, where was I saw this play out in real time about being the most concerned with the things you have the least amount of control over.
Mm-hmm. You see it all the time.
And we want to blame those things. So I think we don't have to accept our part in it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it'd have been really easy to just straight up blame the weather at Georgia Jewel. Wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Now, the weather was...
It was bad.
It was very much a contributing factor. But before that race, you asked me if I wanted an ice bandana.
Sure did.
And I said no. And I said no because I genuinely didn't think I would need it. Like, I thought I was okay. Like, I was okay, accustomed to being warm, and didn't expect the spike that came. But ultimately, that's still... Like, I failed. Like, that's on me. Like, I failed. Speaking of good DNFs, seeing all the people wrapped up in emergency blankets for hours and hours and hours at a time. That, what is that?
The Dry Creek
The
aid?
Dry Creek aid station.
Mm-hmm.
Good DNF right there. Like, glad that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like, I was able to get a shower and start rehydrating, and it took a whole day before, like, I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's how dehydrated I was.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. But that's, like, I failed. Here's why I failed. Because of X, Y, and Z. What are we going to do about it next time? I'll tell you what we're going to do, man. We're going to do blah, 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 blah. Like, we're going to change. What do I need to do to be successful?
Absolutely.
We're going to change that. Can't change the weather. Fine. If this weather comes up again, what do I need to do? Like, can't change the amount of vert in the course. I couldn't do the climbs. Theoretically. Okay, what do you need to do to handle the climbs? Oh, the downhill's killing me. Listen, people come out to mid-state, and the downhill gets them.
Every time.
Regardless of how often we preach the message that it's not the uphill that you have to worry about. It's not the gain at mid-state.
Nope.
Don't worry about it.
Heat and downhill.
You're going to go uphill. You're going to go uphill just fine. But what you're not going to do eventually is go downhill just fine if you're not ready for it. Like, that's what's going to get you. And we tell people all the time, and every year, it's like, oh, it's just the downhills. I can't go downhill anymore. Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, your race is going downhill. Sorry, I could not.
Be nice. Be nice.
I could not. It was just like wide open.
But that's
right
part
there.
of it is that it's this element that obviously isn't me. Right?
One of the big things that I think people fail to
fail.
I'm going to say this, a concept that I wish was embraced more, that which has changed things for me. I don't think Jocko initially came up with it, but that is where I heard it, was on his podcast, which is the radical accountability. You are responsible for everything. It doesn't matter. Like, you need to figure out how you can control what you can control. Even when Allie was doing, what was it? We pulled her to school. We were homeschooling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doing the, it's like I can't even think of the kind of school that
I don't know that it's relevant. We can just keep telling the story.
I'm going. Anyway, she was going to school 2 days a week in like another building. They're teaching, doing stuff. Well, her grades started to struggle. And the work wasn't getting done. And now, initially, I was very angry with her. I was like, you know how to do this stuff. You're just putting it off and slacking. And the class wouldn't move ahead until everyone was on the same page. And I just remember being so angry. But then I was like, mostly I'm angry at myself. Like, what are we doing that's allowing her to fail? Why? What do we need to change in our day-to-day or our schedule to make sure that she can be the most successful? Like, initially, it's on us that she's not getting that done.
Yeah.
It's the work she has to do, but we're not checking the work that she needs to do. We're leaning on her because she is very responsible and has always made very good grades. She has always been self-motivated to do that. Now she's not. And she said she was having a hard time. Regardless, it got on just that radical accountability of, we're responsible for her. Like, you're responsible for your race. You're responsible for your training. You're responsible for all of those things and making that stuff work. And the more you push it off on other things, the more apt to, ignore that responsibility that you have, or accountability.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. As Chris Rock would say, can I quote another comedian?
Yeah, go ahead.
If the child can't read, that's the mama's fault.
Yeah.
Now, if the child can't read because there's no lights in the house, that's the daddy's fault. But that's radical accountability, right?
Yeah.
It's saying, what is my role in this? What is my role in the race? What is my role in life? And this, not for nothing, like understanding what failure is, unpacking it, seeing your role, what you need to alter, isn't just ultra running. Like, if you up for a promotion at work and you don't get it, how often do people say, well, they've got it against me, they've got this, they've got that. You want a new job, you don't get it, you get fired. You've got job loss. I went through job loss. That job sucks. Like, it's hard to do to work your life in a field and then have it pulled out underneath you. That's failure. I failed. What was my role in that failure? What did I need to do differently? It's easy to blame a company, blame a person, blame an outside factor. But what was your role? What did you do? Driving down the road, this guy came out of nowhere. Well, did he actually come out of nowhere? Or were you just not paying attention the entire time until they hit you? Or until they were in your peripheral vision because you were looking up? This idea of unpacking, accepting, digesting failure is not just about running. It's about your life, right? It's about how can you be a more well-rounded person? How can you be more successful in every area? The tools you learn in ultra running should not just stay there. They don't do you a whole lot of good if you don't use them anywhere else but on the trip, on the trip. If you don't pull that back in to your life and understand, okay, this race went south. Okay, my kid didn't do that. My partner didn't do this. Work didn't go this way. Well, okay, but why? What was your role in it? It's so easy to just blame all of the other factors, blame the things that you have the least amount of control over as a result of you not getting the thing you want. What is it that you want? And I ask people this all the time. You're setting out to run 100 miles. Why are you doing this? Why are you running? I want it to be fun. I want it to be challenging. Cool. Awesome. That's a completely different bar and a completely different set of standards on what my expectations for you are going to be.
Absolutely.
If you're going to go down and run Cruel Jewel, if you're going down there to have a good time and just hang out because you love the course and love the people and love the race, and you know Sarah's awesome and she is, the set of standards that I'm going to hold you to is going to be a lot different than that weekend.
Mhm.
If you're just there to have a good time.
But if I show up and say, "Hey, I want to do this thing,"
Yeah, we're going to do it.
like,
Or at least I'm going to hold you to doing it. So when you come into an aid station and you're just having a good time or want to have a good time and you're down and it's going bad and you're struggling, I'm going to go, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. There's no reason to struggle here. You're just here to have a good time. If you're not having a good time anymore, we don't have to do it. Like, that's silly. And that's not like that is okay. If you are running to have a good time
it's okay.
and you get to a point where you are not having a good time, you should stop.
Back it up.
Because that's your reason for running.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Like if you play pickleball because it's fun to play pickleball and then it starts raining and people are throwing baseballs at you, that's probably not fun anymore. Stop playing pickleball.
Go home.
Like just back that up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the standard you set for yourself. Your expectations of what you want out of the race. If you are going to push yourself and challenge yourself, well, now you've got a little bit longer runway. Because you're not just there to have a good time. You can have fun while doing it. But the expectation, the result you want is to just be pushed. Okay? Like, so you made it 75% of the way because you just wanted to push yourself and you did that. Okay. Yeah. Did you fail?
You didn't complete it.
Well, if you didn't push yourself, you failed, right?
You failed to accomplish what you set out to do.
You're setting out to push yourself. That is your goal for the day, is to push yourself.
Yeah. If you don't push yourself to that limit, then you failed to do what you set out to do.
Right. But does that mean you have to complete the distance?
No.
Exactly. So you can fail at completing a distance, but you can succeed at pushing yourself. As long as everybody understands and you're going into it and your crew's going into it and the expectation is, hey, listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that I'm going to push myself as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And then you get to that limit and go, oh, yeah, can't do it anymore. Now, on the other hand, and this is what it comes in, is are you setting out to run a specific distance? Okay, well, then that's the expectation. Everything short of that is going to be failure. Because you are going to have to push yourself to do that. It is not going to be fun to do that. And I tell people, I ask them, I say, hey, I want to have a good time. Okay, be well aware that having a good time is not a requirement because it will not be fun. Whether it's a trail half marathon to 100 miles to across the state of Tennessee, it is not going to be fun. You are going to have a moment that it is not going to be fun.
I do think that is an illusion people have sometimes, that they think it's just going to be great the entire time and I'm happy. And we've touched on that before, trying to keep everything level.
Keep it level.
And avoid the super highs and super lows. But yeah, there comes a point where fun is over. It's canceled. And it might come back.
Good Lordy, it's probably going to if
Yeah.
you keep going,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, there's always an after party. Keep it rolling.
There's
Let's go.
always a fire and a cot and sad country songs in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the idea that all of these other things have to go into your goal is just not always applicable. Like having fun, if that's the goal, let it be the goal. Make it clear. Communicate to yourself, communicate to the people that are with you. Hey, I'm out here to have a good time. So that they know what the right thing to do is. So that when you're not having a good time, you protect that, right? You protect that goal. Well, if your goal is to finish the distance, then we're going to protect that the most.
Yeah.
And we're going to disregard everything else. If your goal is to get a new promotion or get a new degree, we're going to keep that the goal. And we're going to protect that as the goal. And we're going to let some of this other stuff slide. The stuff that's not enjoyable, the stuff that hurts, the stuff that takes time away from the goal, we're going to let it slide back because we're protecting our goal most. And when that is the goal and we don't accomplish it, we're going to call that
Failure.
Yeah, because if we don't call it failure, if we don't label it what it is, how can we possibly understand what we need to do to accomplish it next time out? I failed at running 100 miles a few times. When I completed that distance, I understood what those weak points were along the way because I was able to be honest with myself. You were able to be honest with me. And we did all of the unpacking to say, hey, this is what we need to do next time and set out with a better plan. Guess what?
Got it done.
Nailed it. Did it have moments that were unpleasant?
Yeah.
Did it have moments where those things crept back up? Did it have moments where it wasn't fun? Did I have to push myself? All those things, yes. But we protected the goal most. We protected what the real objective was, and we let that other stuff slide. And that's kind of what you have to do if you want to be successful in life, if you want to have an easier time out here in the world, or you want to accomplish the things you set out to do. You have to protect that the most, let other things slide, and then be really honest with yourself when you fail. Because failure isn't a bad word. Everybody fails at something. And if you don't, they're lying to you.
Oh, absolutely. And when it matters, you will be able to be successful because you will know what causes you to fail, what you need to avoid or open yourself up to for failure. When I ran the 600 miles, there's a huge chance of failure in that.
No.
Massive.
Yeah. Every step is a chance for failure in that.
And especially having a car every 5-6 miles.
Well, and a lot of those chances for failure are outside of your control.
Absolutely.
The scariest thing out there was well outside of your control, wasn't it?
Cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, traffic. Yeah, traffic and cars are terrifying and dangerous.
Yeah. It would have been completely reasonable at that point to say, whoa, this is too dangerous to do. And it probably should have several times go, no, hey, listen, this is not, I'm not doing this. But that wasn't
the goal.
That wasn't the goal. We were protecting the goal and we were letting all this other stuff slide. Your personal health and safety. We were taking liberties with it.
Yeah.
Because you didn't decide, hey, I'm going to do this if I can, if it's safe, if all these things line up, I'm going to run across the state. You said, no, I'm going to run across the state.
That's it.
All right, this is what we're doing.
I'm running 600.
I guess it doesn't matter what happens. We get in a thunderstorm in the bad side of Memphis in the afternoon. Hey, maybe you shouldn't run through this part of town right now. This seems like a bad idea. This doesn't seem very safe for you to do. But you kept running.
Yeah. Turns out that was probably one of the safer things.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I think the rainstorm actually made the whole thing safer on that side of town, other than the dude that walked up to me selling trash bags.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was weird. We're going to have to do a podcast on that and unpack that entire thing. But all my failures and being able to be honest about those failures and find those chinks in my armor that have set me up for failure or taken my race down, or just even as a person, like where I fail mentally and emotionally and where I trip and stumble, being able to recognize those, talk about those, and be honest. All of that had to be addressed for that goal to be accomplished. There was a lot that came up, and there were times throughout that process where you had to be honest with me about things, and I had to be open to it. And that's part of what made it successful. And it honestly, there were a couple of those conversations that were game changers for that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they changed how everything was going, and my attitude, my mindset, and how I approached what was happening. But you have to be open to it. You have to be open to where you fall short. And you've got to be honest about it. And if you can't, then you're going to set yourself up to continue that process of failing or not achieving your potential. And that's one of the other reasons people are in this sport. They want to see what they're capable of. They want to push the limits of their potential or fulfill that and see what's out there for them. And if you constantly settle for, oh, you did good, like, way to get out there, that's awesome, I'm so proud of you, like, oh, then you're never really going to see what's inside of you. You're never going to see what you're capable of. Have those people in your corner that tell you, hey, get your ass up, or hey, no, here's all you failed, and here's all the reasons and the areas that you did. Now, do you want to do it better next time? And if your answer is yes, then you got big things ahead of you. Good job. Go get it. But if not, enjoy your pity party. Like, and that's, I don't ever want to discourage anyone. And so I hope that I don't come off as like being a bitch or abrasive with that. But like, if you want real success and you really want to push yourself, man, you got to hear some stuff that sometimes hurts your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to be okay with it.
Well, and I think that's it, is that I think both of us want so desperately and believe so much that you can succeed. The individual can succeed. Whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. And we want to see that happen. We want to facilitate that, and we want to breathe that life into you and help you get there. We're aware, because we've had to do it, that you have to understand what's holding you back. And sometimes that's you. Sometimes it's been me. Sometimes it's been you. Sometimes it's been the other way around. But we have to recognize it. We have to admit it to ourselves and each other, and then move forward and adjust. We believe you can succeed. We are your ultra crew.
Yeah.
And we want that success for you. You just can't do it in a bubble of deniability.
Can't be coddled.
There's no coddling going on here.
No.
None.
Zitch? Zero? Zip?
Did you say zitch?
Zilch?
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You got anything else for Miss Jones?
No, I really hope that this changes something for somebody, or maybe makes something switch. I just really want you to succeed doing hard things. Like, I really, really do.
Yeah, I mean, we believe you can do hard things, and you can set out and accomplish your goals.
Don't be scared of failure.
But
fail.
Yeah, not being fail, fall on your face, like miss the layups, but understand how you got there.
Yeah,
it's gonna be okay. Listen, in the big realm of schemes, nobody cares.
That's true.
Like,
nobody cares more than you do.
Nobody cares that you really didn't do the thing. Yeah. Like, it's not that your friend, we won't name him, but your buddy is not in the sport at all. There's like 5. He always says, there's like 5 of y'all out there doing it. Seriously? There's like 5 of you in the world.
Yeah.
There's more than 5 of us. But as far as things go, it's not that big a deal. It doesn't have to change your life if you admit where you fell short. But I can guarantee you, not admitting where you fell short won't change your life.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Love it. That's so on point.
Bam. All right. That's the Ultra Crew Podcast. I'm Big John. As always, BMFJ.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you next time.
All right.